Drinking buddies. What's the best sub-100 proof bourbon? Let's find out.
I'm your drinking buddy.
All right, drinking buddies, we have a lot of contenders here on the bar, and I feel like we can eliminate most of them just by process. We'll use a process of elimination to eliminate some of them. First up, Weller 12. I like the CYPB better, so that's going to stay here. I like the Michters Sour Mash, and I like the Shinks, but neither is really a bourbon, so we got to eliminate those for that reason. Plus, I think Michters 10 fits in a little better. Now, why did I choose Michters 10 when I said that you should probably buy this instead? Well, I said that because the Michters 10 is $200 and really hard to find. Meanwhile, this is like $30 to $40 and really easy to find. The ease of access to this, for me, makes it a little bit more of a practical bottle to purchase than the Michters 10 is. However, the Michters 10 is much better. I'm not pretending this is better. So this has got to go for that reason. Next up, Mash Bill 2 Buffalo Trace. First, I got a Blanton's back there, but it is not a great Blanton's. It's a store pick, and I feel like they were leaning into one flavor. It was a cigar shop, and it just kind of tastes like cigars to me, personally. Not really my jam. Hancock, it's good, but the fact that now that it's $100 at Total Wine makes me want to drop it out for that reason. It's not worth $100. And this Lost Prophet 22-year, this is an orphan barrel, but it is Mash Bill 2 from Buffalo Trace, 90.1 proof. It's just too unique. It's too specific. It's something that was released a few years ago. It's long gone. You can't get this, so therefore I got to knock that one out of here for that reason. Elijah Craig 18. I feel like this one is one that is really good, but I wish it had a little bit more proof on it to have this high of an age statement. At 90 proof at 18 years, this particular bottle to me is a little too oaky. It's a little too woody. It's still good, but I'd rather have something like a Knob Creek 18, but it's 100 proof, so it wouldn't fit in this tournament. Then last up, I just felt like pecan finished bourbon was a little bit too niche of a category for it to end up in this flight. So what does that leave us that we didn't talk about? 1910, I had to have a shelf bottle in here, and that is the best shelf bottle that I can think of under 100 proof. I mean, I can't come up with anything better. It's fantastic. And then next is Eagle Rare, and this is a store pick, so I will freely admit that this is a very special store pick. It's very good. So this is my allocated bottle, and then I got a couple unicorns on here. So it is a shelf versus allocated versus unicorn, but it's also what is the best sub 100 proof bourbon. Let's go. Very cherry Pop-Tarts. Little bit of an oak thing coming through, and a little bit of an ethanol thing coming through. Shouldn't get much ethanol on any of these since they're all under 100 proof. But I do like the nose. There's a little bit of a dank thing in there, a little bit of a wet basement-y vibe. So the initial palate on this one is real thin. You think you're going to be getting something that is not going to lend you a lot of flavor, and then it just explodes. And it has a really nice, really long finish for how low proof it is. Under 100 proof, it is still going. Loaded up with cherry, vanilla, caramel, butterscotch. A little hint of that on the finish. Nice little tingling on the tip of my tongue. Little light on mouthfeel. Yeah, if I'm going to knock anything on this particular bottle, it's going to be mouthfeel. Because it is really good, whatever it is. But little thin on mouthfeel. Well, now that is a completely different nose. This one's more like sweet and fruity, and this is more like spicy and herbal. Interesting. Interessante. Yeah, that's like fall spices for days. It almost smells like a rye on the nose. Definitely oaky. There's some nice age going on here. Slight hint of some pear or apple, something, I guess it's more apple than pear, but something in that family. A little bit of caramel, a little bit of brown sugar, a little bit of a black tea thing here as well. None of those herbal notes came through on the palate. None of the spiciness really much either, except maybe a hint of something cinnamon. Now I like this nose. This is cherry vanilla. This is like cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper, man, on the nose. Candy, very sweet nose. Wow, I dig that. That's got some great oak influence on it. Best mouthfeel so far. Not quite as good as finish as the first one. It's already starting to fade a little bit. But I like the extra little punch of the rye spiciness on here that I didn't get off the other two. I smelled rye spice on the nose here, but here there's some nice rye spice. At least I think it's rye spice. Anyway, there's something a little bit spicy on here that I dig. It could just be like a cinnamon note, which is something I sometimes get off of wheaters. So maybe it's not even a rye bourbon. Now this one's really dank in comparison. And now I'm getting something a little bit herbal on that one too. Sometimes when you go back to stuff, you get a completely different thing. And this one's like herbal tea, cinnamon. A little bit of a nutmeg thing. This is a wild ride here. A little oak coming through too. I got cherry on 3 of the 4. There's cherry here. Maybe it's more like a strawberry. It's a red berry of some kind. Yeah, maybe it's more like a raspberry or a strawberry than a cherry. Yeah, now that I say raspberry, that's what I mean. Sometimes you got to really nail those tasting notes down. You got something familiar there and it takes it a second to really nail it. But yeah, raspberry, brown sugar, bourbon vanilla, classic notes all around as well. You got a little bit of oak thing coming through. Man, none of these are really standing out as being the best, to be perfectly honest, but that might change on a second time through. This probably has the best mouthfeel. This has the best finish and overall palate. This has the best nose. And this one is probably, might even be the best all around when you consider all of those things. So I got to go through these again. I'm going to cut this part so you don't hear the same tasting notes twice, but then I'll tell you which one's my favorite. All I know right now is this one's my least favorite. I dig whatever's in the glass. It's just standing out as being not as good as these 3. Now, this doesn't make this a bad whiskey. This is a great whiskey, but these other 3 up front I'm liking more. I'm thinking this is the Eagle Rare. I'm thinking that this is the 1910. I think this is the CYPB. I think, is this the Michters and I'm putting it last? I don't know. I'm getting a vibe. I'm getting like an herbal note on it that's just not jiving for me right now. It's still a great whiskey. If I'm reaching for a bourbon, I don't necessarily want it to taste like a rye, like those herbal notes. I'd way rather have a bourbon with classic bourbon notes. And these 3 are delivering better on that. So for me right now, these 3 are better. I do think this is the Michters though. So I might lose a little credibility here putting the $200 bottle last, but it's just not as good as the other 3. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. This is the Michters. My opinions on this year's releases are probably going to end up getting me canceled. I've put this not in first place in 2 blinds now, and I hated the Master's Keep Voyage. Those are 2 unpopular opinions, but I'm an honest guy. You might not have the same palate as me. This might be your favorite whiskey on earth. I don't know. But for me, this ain't worth $200. I'm sorry, it just isn't. I like it, but it ain't worth $200. All right, this is I think I'm going to go with this one in 3rd place. I think this is the 1910. This is the 1910. This is the Eagle Rare. This is 2nd place. Yep. And this is the CYPB, which was my favorite. The reason why I picked this, I didn't pick this because I thought it was the CYPB. I thought it was the CYPB because it was my favorite. This guy is just giving me, I wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. So this guy is giving me just classic bourbon notes all around with a really nice candy cherry. Some people don't jive with that medicinal cherry you get off some of the older bourbons. This guy's giving you candy cherry. So if you're a candy cherry guy and you can get one of those in a raffle, well, cheers, drinking buddies. Thank you so much for watching. I definitely think that there's a chance that this will be the last video you see from me because I could get canceled for putting Michters 10 last in the blind, but I'm a Michters fan, but $200 is too much for that bottle. Anyway, drinking buddies, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.